How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have my good friend Sam here on another episode of Backstage Press. She can say her name, what she does. Well, I already said her name, but she can say what she does and all that stuff.
Well, my name is Samantha Andujar, aka most of you know me as Sammy Star. I write for, I write for Scene Daddy. I am the managerial editor and staff writer for Scene Daddy, which is good stuff.
Yes.
And I also occasionally write for Spill Magazine up in Toronto, Canada, so big love for that. And occasionally, sometimes for New Fury Media, also big kudos to that, to Steven and Brad and Robbie.
There we go.
So love all of you guys very much.
Sam wears a lot of hats. I'm sure she's being very polite in all the things that she does. But honestly, this has been a very long time coming, not only in terms of like having Sam, because Sam and we'll talk about past stuff, but like I've been asking her for I don't even know how long now at this point. I think since like I started doing this, I was like, I just need to have you come on and like tell me what all of the things that you do, because I'm like, people know, like if people know, they know how much work and stuff you do. So to me, I always love seeing it, just because I'm like, I don't know, I feel like I'm like the internet hype man here for like music and stuff, I guess, because I'm always like trying to promote my friends and all that sort of stuff. But I guess that kind of leads into the first thing, which is, since you wear so many hats, what was like kind of the starting point of you doing like music journalism, and how did you kind of start out? Because obviously I know some of it a little bit, but I'm sure you can go into more details on how it all began.
Well, oof, I feel like that was like a minute ago. Well, I guess what initially had started my music journalism journey was back in Stockton. Again, I have a background in writing and international studies.
Mm-hmm.
Started working on the newspaper and made my own kind of music column there. I guess you could call it like some impromptu kind of like alternative press thing. I thought I was kind of being edgy at the time. I was like, yeah, I could do this kind of thing. And like started like interviewing like bands like in my university at the time.
Yeah.
So I thought I was like being all cool and stuff like that. And I mean, at the time, like looking back on it, it wasn't like really that cool, but like
It was cool. I feel like you're
I
giving yourself a little less credit than it deserves, but
I mean, like I got to it gave me a lot of opportunities. Like looking back on it, I got to like actually talk to bands like Panic at the Disco,
wow.
and like, which is actually like cool, like stuff like that, and the Goo Goo Dolls, which I will always remember for like the rest of my life, because like those are opportunities that you don't get. Because like the scene kid in me was like, like the freaking Panic at the Disco. Nobody will ever like to like get opportunities like that ever again. So so after I graduated, I started working for Stencil Magazine, which was like the alternative press for like the UK, which a friend of mine, Clayton Neely, which huge props to him, because he's, again, one of my good friends in the music scene. He actually was like, you know what, you should apply for this. Why don't you just do it? So started working for them. And again, it's just like, I didn't really have like much experience at the time doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just doing like small reviews and like intros to like smaller and like huger bands at the time. And realized that I really liked doing that stuff. And when you got quoted in Stencil for your reviews, that was like always like a huge deal. So I was like, when I started like getting quoted in like the magazine a lot, I was like, this is like, I know I can do this like on a bigger level.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I know like I can do more than just do reviews. It wasn't until Stencil had stopped doing their publication, um, rest in peace to their publication, because they actually did a lot more than just like music stuff. There was
Hmm.
just so much more to that magazine, which I'm gonna miss them. But started working for New Fury Media, which again, and Stencil magazine. If it wasn't for those two publications, I don't think I would have dovetailed into Scene Daddy. Like they both had taught me like so much out of like the music business. And of course, like Steven knows so much about the music business, like
Hmm.
because he's had like so much experience. And he taught me like how to effectively write and engage like in like writing form, how to effectively write. And like Steven is probably going to see this and he's going to be like she's giving me like way too much credit, but he like honestly taught me so much on how to write, and honestly that's where I get a lot of my writing like style from,
Hmm.
cuz that if you're going to write, like write creatively, like treat your piece as if it were your canvas. And that's how I've always approached like my writing style, because if anybody sees my stuff, it's always very artsy and very creative.
Yeah.
And I think that's why my stuff always kind of stands out. And I think that's why a lot of artists like choose to work with me because of that. But aside from that, even like working with Bradley, like he even taught me how to do stuff like on a timely basis and just like getting stuff done like all the time, like and just making sure that you stay with your commitments with bands and stuff like that. And like I learned that from him.
Hmm.
And like and then that's when kind of like Robbie came along and I did like some stuff with him, and he was like, would you like to write for Scene Daddy? And I was like, you know what, why not give it a shot? Because again, I was all of this was trying to get experience to get to like bigger magazines and stuff like
Yeah, yeah.
that. And I feel like I'm like kind of like going on and on, but
Oh, it's all good. This is great.
this is such, I feel like a long story kind of like dovetailing into where I'm at now. But after I started writing for Scene Daddy, I think it was like less than a year of being there, I get an email from Tyler, who is my manager now. He was like, you've shown so much progress in so much little time that you've been here. How would you like to be like the assistant editor of like Scene Daddy? And I'm like floored at this point because like I have not been there like literally, and like I had not been there long enough to even really prove myself. But obviously like Robbie and Tyler had seen something in me
Hmm.
like at the time to like for me to be in that position. So I had taken it on, and I have to give credit to Tyler because like he also taught me stuff too, because I had to learn like new software and stuff like that, like how to effectively manage like something that was totally new to me.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for him also, I would not be like where I am now, um in Scene Daddy now. So, and then it's just now I'm again the assistant manager, of managing editor, a scene daddy, and now a staff writer. I'm getting to do so much stuff that I didn't think was like possible.
Hmm.
So it's just a surreal feeling now that I'm known by like so many other bands like all over the world. And it's like, I'm just a girl from New Jersey. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I'm just sitting here chilling in this room, and I'm just like, of course, like, you know me on a personal level.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just like, I'm not anything special by any means. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's crazy that so many bands from like overseas and even
Hmm.
here know who I am. And it's just, it's something that I've always wanted. And to see where I was back in like 2017 to where I'm at now, it's just kind of crazy. So,
Yeah, I remember. I even remember like when we went. So Sam and I live close to each other. We went to community college together, and I remember like we had like obviously our mutual friends together, and I just remember we were like I think we were sitting at like the lunchroom or something like that, and our friend Tyler was just like, "Yo, this is this kid Brandon we met. Like, he's pretty cool. He listens to like metal and stuff." And then I remember you were like sitting at the table. I think it was like one of the other guys that helped me start the channel, Dan. I think obviously Tyler was there,
mhm.
and a few others. But like, I remember we hit it off because we were just like we were. I don't know. Like, I think Tyler was really into the scene at the time, but like obviously has digressed and went to other things, which is great. But like, I never grew out of that, and obviously this is par for the course because I'm doing this now. But like, I felt like we always had that connection of things because we were just like, "Oh my god, this did you check out this new band?" And you're like, "Oh my
Right.
god, I've never heard this band. You should check now. Should check them out." And then I remember us just like swapping back and forth with like music and stuff. And then I remember more like I remember when we kind of graduated from community college, and then actually remember the conversation I had with Brad. Shout outs to New Fury. We did one probably I think like last year now, but I remember Brad reaching out to me and he was like, "Do you know anybody that would be like a good writer?" And I was like, I was like, I knew like in my head, I was like, I have to recommend Sam because I was like, I'm always floored, and I think most people don't even know this, but like I'm always like every time I used to check your columns out and stuff, and I was like, man, I like need to step my writing game up because, or like, like step up my game at, at least two times because I'm like, sometimes we'll do like the same review and it's interesting to see like the different perspective on things. Like, I'm like, wow,
Right.
how did she pull this out? Like when I didn't even like, I could have realized that, but I guess I just didn't formulate it into words. And so it's cool to see that. And obviously, like, I feel like I'm being your hype man in this interview, but like, honestly, it's cool to see like somebody that I've known so well for like a long time, like, do super well because, it definitely feels like you, amongst a lot of my other friends, I'm like, you've always been like dedicated to it and stuff. And like, I guess what drives you to continue to do it? Like, I feel like you're always whenever I see you do stuff, like you're always pumping out content on like a very consistent basis. So like, what makes you want like, at the end of the day, like you're like, man, I did like this many articles or whatever. Like, what's your drive behind it, I guess, per se.
Well, I think here's my take on it. I feel like on a journalistic level, I feel like bands need to be treated as equals. And I guess I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on that. So, what I mean by that is like, I feel like there's like this divide between like signed and unsigned bands. And like, a lot of times I feel like they're kind of seen as what's important and what's not important.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what drives me to keep going. And especially during the pandemic, I think 2020 kind of delved into that a little bit more, because I noticed a lot of unsigned bands were working doubly hard, especially to get their content noticed. And that's what prompted me also to start my own project, like my own docuseries,
Mm-hmm.
to get those unsigned bands the attention that they deserve, because we're all struggling.
Oh,
It's
sure.
not just like me and you, like on a journalistic front, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's those bands too that were struggling. So I was like, you know what? Um, as most people knew, like, I was going through health stuff, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this time to kind of work on a project.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what it was going to be at the time, but I was going to use that time to do something useful.
Yeah.
So I took that time and I started trying to find bands that wanted the attention, like really wanted it.
Yeah.
So like it amazed me to see the response that I got, especially on Instagram.
Sure. Yeah.
The response that people were giving me, particular, like, not people, but bands that were giving me, just like multiple like emails of, you know, like, we have this coming out, we have that coming out. And it wasn't until I ran into, I could hype up this guy all day long, Adam Ramey. Adam Ramey had reached out to me and was like, could you do a write-up on our EP? And his EP had came out back in April, so it was a little bit time sensitive.
Sure. Yeah. 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 I got you.
So at the time, I was like, gonna have to go back to my boss and kind of talk to him about this, because um, we were a little bit ahead on, you know, releases. So I get the green light to do this because it's Dropout Kings.
Nice.
Who
Yeah.
wouldn't want to, you know, do a write-up on that? So I did the write-up, and of course, you know me, I try to make sure that this stuff is just right dressed, and I put it out, and it's a hit. It gets like a bunch of shares and whatnot. And he loved the review like so much that he started giving me like other bands to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And now me and Adam have such a close relationship, like as friends, like even outside of this, like he's such a nice guy. Like he never really wanted anything outside of this other than to help me like succeed as a journalist,
Mm-hmm.
because he loved the review so much, like the quality of it.
Yeah.
And like I will always respect him for that, because like there's not many people out there that will outwardly come out to help you in that way.
Yeah. I feel that. Yeah.
Especially like with the connections, like he has like connections coming out the wazoo. Like I have like no other words to really like describe the connections that this guy has.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, but like he's such a nice, like genuine person just to work with. And it's definitely one of those people that I will continue to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for him, like my I don't think my career would have skyrocketed the way it did in 2020,
Yeah.
because like the bands just kept coming. And then it wasn't just like his connections, those connections would like dovetail into other connections from
Yeah.
other bands. Because
Yeah.
then they'd be like, well, I heard from this person that like you did their review or this interview from this person. And it just kept going from there. And
Yeah.
like it was just crazy. And now like it's just nuts now to see, like, again, where I'm at now. And like I said, I could not be more thankful for where I'm at now, because at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't matter if you get paid or if you don't get paid. What I care about is the what I'm doing for these bands,
Yeah, definitely.
because um, even if it's just a small step into, you know, their dreams and what they're doing, it's still helping them in some way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if I can help them, like, in their narrative in some way, then that makes me feel good. And I've never been like the type of person to be like, you know what, pay up because, I'm doing this for you. Like, I've never like done that to any band that I've worked with like, as long as I've been doing this. I've done this 100% free for every band that I've worked for. And I think every band can attest to that.
Mhm.
Like, I've never asked for any money. Like, all I've asked is that, give me a shout out, or, just tag me in it
Uh,
whenever you like put my stuff up, because it helps get my name out there.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
all I ever asked for at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, like, I'm putting hours of work and time into putting like your
Content out.
stuff out there.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, that's what's making me happy. So, you know, to get to this point now where I'm, you know, doing the stuff that I love and I have a career out of it now, um, it's just a blessing. It really is.
Yeah, I know, like, your whole focus is like obviously you want to put the bands first, and I can subscribe to that because that's pretty much what I do here, obviously, and I know you know this probably more than anybody else that I've talked with, but like I think that's what makes me come back. Not only obviously because we are friends and I want to support my friends, but like I think the thing that makes me always interested in like the content that you do, because like while I might not be able to check out like everything, I'm like there's a lot of stuff where I'm just like, it doesn't matter like what band it is. I know that you're like dedicated to putting them out in the best light possible, and for them to like be highlighted just as much as like myself or like New Fury or like Scene Daddy or anybody.
Right.
And I think that's what I like love about the community that we're in, is that like we're at the point where obviously it would be great to have signed bands, but there's a lot of like really great unsigned bands that are out there that, like you said, they work like double or triple times the amount to like get out there for people to see it. And the honest like replication of that, of like people being like this band's sick, I never heard of them before, like that's awesome, like there's somebody that I can definitely get into. And I say this in a lot of my interviews, is just like, for me personally, like I love when some other person's like, oh, I found out about this band because of like audio addiction or something like that, and it
Right.
makes me happy because I'm like, somebody else is finally finding out what I've always loved about this band that is unsigned or like people don't know about and stuff. And I think it just kind of drives the point home of like, the people that are like really behind the scenes. And the sole reason why I started doing the whole Backstage Press thing was just like, there's a lot of people like yourself and like myself that do this in a sort of like, we want to help you out. I'm not trying to make money off this. Like, if I do, cool. If not, it's not like my sole purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like a huge thing that I personally have tried to highlight throughout my entire career doing YouTube and stuff, was just like people that really genuinely care about the bands that they're like promoting and that they have on their website or like blog or whatever it may be, or YouTube channel or something.
Right.
Because those, I feel like those people become harder and harder to come by as we go on and stuff. So hopefully people watching this can have like a better idea of like the type of community that we I guess hope to foster at some point. But obviously you have a lot of experience doing this.
Hmm.
What would you recommend to people that want to get into the music scene? I always love asking this question because I feel like there's many different paths you can take as being, you could do something like I do or something that Sam does. But like, I guess what type of advice can you offer to somebody that's checking this out and was like, I want to do the same thing that Sam does. What type of advice would you give?
Well, you could always try to go my route and you know, there's always like school and stuff, but I know like that's not always a viable option.
Sure, yeah.
Or Scene Daddy is always looking for writers too. This is a shameless plug. Like I know, but
Quite a pivot.
but like for experience though, there's a lot of places like Scene Daddy and like New Fury Media that's always looking for like r writers for experience.
Yeah.
And again, like I understand that's not like typical for people that want to go into it because there's no money involved. But trust me, like when I tell you the experience is worth it. Like yes, at
100%.
times like it gets frustrating. Like I understand that 100%. Like I've been where you're at in the sense of, you know, not getting paid for any of the stuff that you do. But I think what's rewarding in the sense of not getting paid is the bands that you get to work with, the experience behind your work being put up there and like people getting to read your stuff.
Yeah.
Um, again, an example being I recently, like about yesterday, I let's just talk about yesterday. Um, I put up an article about 11 black artists that you should be looking at in the scene.
That was good. I'm just
Um,
gonna say, the good. I'll leave a link down in the description. But anyway,
oh,
continue,
thank you
Sam.
so much. Um, that article was important to me for a number of reasons. Being a minority, and a huge contributor in the scene for the amount of work that I put into the general scene. That is not hyperbole. I write a lot of content
Yeah.
for the scene. Um, I felt it was my due diligence to write a piece like that. Um, I didn't know how that was going to turn out, to be honest, because to be honest, a lot of people do not read as much as they should.
That's fair.
And um, I always kind of take the views with a grain of salt. If people get something out of it, then they do. If they don't, then, it's fine. But at the same time, you know, if I get like 100 to 300 likes on an article, that's 300 people that I'm getting to look at my stuff. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, that makes me feel good
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's a natural cap of people that are actually reading it and getting engaged.
Yeah.
Like, you can, at the end of the day, say that journalism is dead, but for me, that's proving that it's not. So, for me, I'm trying to get to a point where I want to get back to real journalism, where we were, I guess, back in the 90s. And I know that's like, we're all crusting over right now, and we're like, you know,
Uh.
getting old as we're like speaking about it right now. But like,
Yeah.
I want to get to a point where people actually cared about music and not about like, you know, I don't know, like this rock star picked their nose. Like, what are they doing now? Like, I don't care about like any of that stuff. Like, I want people to be focused on the real stuff. And if you look at a lot of my articles, it concentrates on the real stuff. And that's what I want to get back to. Um, And a lot of my influences come from places like Metal Hammer, um, you know, Mojo Magazine, um, you know, places of that nature where at the heart of it there is real content.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Rolling Stone. I have tons of those magazines, which I made a post like not too long ago saying that I have a magazine problem in my room, which I need to like reevaluate that at some point. But a lot of times I look back at those magazines and I gain inspiration from that when I kind of have like those days where I'm just like, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. And I think
Yeah.
you have those days too where it's like,
There's a
you
block.
know, yeah, there's a block, or
Yeah.
like, I feel like, am I doing enough to like cater to my audiences the way I need to? Or, just things of that nature. And like I said, I feel like you have those days too,
Oh, 100%.
where, um, you feel like people aren't engaging as much as they should. And I look at magazines like that, and it's like, it gives me a sense of comfort in the sense of where I feel like where I'm supposed to be. I am where I am supposed to be. And I put it down and then I continue to write because I can't imagine myself doing anything else at the end of the day. Um, I often think back at times where, I could have went back to doing my career as like a marine biologist and like where I would have been if I didn't choose this career. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just like how different my life would have been. Like I could be in some like, you know, studying squid fishing in like Borneo or something like that. But like I don't know. But like at the end of the day, my life would not be like as fulfilling as it is right now because I would have given up something that I loved doing to go for something to make billions of dollars on something. And then I would have been like, oh, well, what if? You know what I mean? So,
But I also think you have to like do stuff that you enjoy. Like people always ask me, they're just like, "Well, you work. I assume you work like a 9 to 5 job, and then you come home and you make content. Like, how are you just not like completely turned to like dirt by the time it's all over with?"
right.
And I always think to myself like, I remember watching. I remember like even in like probably like high school or whatever, and I watched like this is no props to Brian Stars, but like I remember watching his videos
Right.
and I'm like in my head I'm like I could do exactly what he's doing, right? Like there's
Hmm.
nothing stopping me other than the fact that I would have to get to a show and I'd have to have either someone else videotape or I'd have to do it. And I guess I don't want to say foolishly cuz I just celebrated 5 years yesterday. Thank you, thank
Congratulations.
you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I think like I realized that like, especially because I took some time off recently, it was just like, what would my life be if I didn't do this? Like, what I mean,
Right.
like I feel like my whole life, like even if I don't get paid money to do this or whatever,
Hmm.
like what would my life be if I like didn't meet other people that are like just as engaged with music or like people at shows where they're just like, oh my god, like I watched this video of you doing this review or whatever, I thought it was awesome, or you
Right.
suck or whatever, it doesn't matter, it could be good, bad, I don't really care. um I think that my life would be completely different. I think my whole like personality and stuff like I think grew a lot during this, and there's definitely times like you say like where you're just like, man, I hit this wall and I'm just like I don't know what to do. And sometimes I just take like I just kind of like pause it for a second, I listen to something like like I'll listen to like a classic like emo record or like something that I like grew up listening to, and I'm like, this is why I did it, this is why I'm doing it, like, and kind of like I guess like centering everything back to like why I want to continue doing it and stuff. And I know we kind of share that same sentiment on like music and stuff. But I think it's, like I said, it's really cool to see like kind of, again, your growth from like when we were just like chatting in lunchrooms to like doing like big shit. And you know, as a friend, I'm like obviously very proud and stuff like that. But like, I think the work that you put out obviously speaks for like your writing and stuff. And you know, like, I don't even feel like people would realize that you would have like mental blocks on like what you're writing, because I'm just like there will be some, I think I forget what record it was, but I remember doing a review, and I was like doing it, and I was just like, let me check out what Sam wrote or whatever. So I looked it up, and I'm just like, I can't. I'm like, I'm just gonna. I have to forge my own path on this. I'm doing a video, so it's like different, and I can't talk for like 7 hours about an album. But like, I read some of it over, and I'm just like, I don't know how. Like, I don't even know how to like elaborate those words into like my own thoughts, and then like try to spew it all out on a video. So
Well,
I
like,
guess.
see,
What were you gonna say?
like, here's the thing. I don't think people really understand like my process on how like I do reviews.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I I approach mediums by actively like listening. And this is a technique that a lot of musicians use in the sense of before their albums go out to be like before they go out
To the
for
public.
everybody else
Yeah.
to see, like to listen to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm so tired right
It's
now.
okay. It's okay.
I literally am working on like 3 hours of sleep right now.
Oof.
Like, yeah. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. But yeah, I actively listen to an artist's work. And sometimes, depending on how long it is, that could take 3 hours, that could take 6 hours.
Yeah.
And that could be listening to it in my headphones, listening to it in speakers, listening to it like on other forms of media to like actively hear what it sounds like in different things,
Yeah.
and then actually putting it down on your laptop.
Yeah.
So there's just a process that I go through, and then once I get it on there, it goes through like this tweaking process, and then that takes another like 2 or 3 hours. So it's just, again, a lot of people do not realize the work and time that I put into this stuff
Oh yeah.
to get what I want. And you could say that's like me being a perfectionist, because
A
I
little bit.
do
A little bit.
just a
But I
little
get
bit.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, like it comes out the way I want it to come out, and you know, I'm proud of it nonetheless. So, and then at the end, like I get messages from like bands and stuff saying like you actively hit the mark of like what we wanted to do,
Yeah.
like what this with this record. So then that hits me in like my heartstrings, like right in the kokoro. Like I did my job of like what they wanted me to do. So that makes me feel good.
I
So at the end of the day, the lack of sleep does not matter. I did what they wanted me to do at the end of the day.
honestly, I was kind of laughing through in my head about it, because I do the same exact thing with how I do my reviews and stuff, and I feel like people don't know the process by which I do my things. But I'm the same exact way. I like sit here with my computer, listen to it with these
But you're
headphones.
also a musician as well, so
Oh,
you
thank
get
you.
it.
And then I go into my car, and I'll listen to it in my car. And then if I'm at work, I'll put in my Bluetooth headphones, and I'll listen to it there. And then
Hmm.
I literally sit at my computer desk, open up Google Drive, and I like open a doc, and I just start typing. Like, I'll go song by song and be like, okay, like this part here's like this part here is this thing, like this is when this happens, like if there's a feature, this is where the feature happens, like all this sort of stuff. And people were always like, man, your videos are like 30 minutes long. I can't sit through a 30-minute video. And I was like, you realize how many times that I've listened to this record now? I've listened, like, I'll give for an example. I just did a review of A Sun Like Wolves' newest record, Mystic Auras. Go check out the homies. Slight plug. But I probably listened to that record. Actually, I am posting an interview with them next week, and I think at the time when I recorded it, I think I had listened to it probably close to like 100 times or something like that. And then by the time I was finished, like doing the review, all that stuff, I probably was closer to like 200 times I listened to it.
Oh my gosh.
And people are always like, man, that's probably why you take so long on reviews. And
Sounds about right.
I'm like, yeah, well, it's also because like I want to like be very I want to dissect it.
Right.
And people are just like, you're nuts for spending that much time listening to it. So when you were telling me how much time you spend active listening, in terms of, it brought a warmth to my heart, but also I can feel your pain because I do the same exact thing.
It's a process, and it's a dedication that a lot of people do not understand.
Yeah.
That, unless again you are a musician. And I think that's why we as music journalists mostly bond with other musicians because they understand the way
pain.
our mind works and the pain that goes into going through this cycle. It's like Groundhog Day over and over and over again. And I think that's why we bond with musicians, because they understand the process.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
And the little bit of pain that goes along with it, because they're just like, man, it's been like
100%. 2
or 3 years that we've been working on this record, and now it's like I've listened to your record for like 200 or 300 hours. So yeah, I feel all that pain. But,
exactly.
The next question, Sam, is a fun one. I asked this to a lot of bands I have on here, so I figured I'd ask you, since you're such a music aficionado like myself. Who have you been jamming recently? I know free time with music is usually very tough for music journalists, because I don't know what that's like, but I always love adding music to my roster. So who have you been listening to lately?
That's
it could be work related.
Whole list? You want the whole list?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
You can give me the whole list. We got time.
I do have a playlist that I could probably give you the link to when this is all over.
Okay.
I do have a playlist that I update rather regularly, whether it's bands that I actually work with or just
bands
what
you enjoy.
I listen to, or bands that I enjoy. And it's not just bands. My music taste is very
eclectic.
Yeah, I guess you could go with that. I could be jamming to New Found Glory one day, and then I could be listening to Final Fantasy music or Akira Yamamoto's stuff like the next day. So, my taste in music is very broad. Or, I'm always looking for stuff outside of the rock music genre to like listen to as well. So I never stop learning about music, and I think that's why I love my job so much, is the fact that I'm always looking for something. My thirst for music is just always there. So that's it's just like I could listen to the same bands or the same artist over and over again, but then at the end of the day, I'm like, I know there's more out there. So
yeah.
I always go searching for something. And again, like I could be listening to K-pop like another day. So it's just like, there's just so much more that I could be listening to. But as far as what I have been listening to, I know, where do I even start? Um,
That's always a good start when you're just like, where do I begin? This is how many music recommendations I'm going to give you.
no, seriously. I know off the top of my head, another one good band that I will say, Young Medicine. It's a very good band that I have been listening to.
They're great.
Also very good guys. They have a very good single out, Winter Soldier. Um, highly suggest that you guys check that one out. Um, Also, if you haven't checked out the earlier album that they put out, Interlinked, um, super good. The instrumental version is also very good, so check those out. Um, Also, have been listening to Varsity.
Nice. Yeah.
Their Cloud City EP is amazing.
Two thumbs
There,
up.
I cannot stress enough how great that EP is. Um, as far as what else I have been listening to, um, we're just gonna have to like, I need to go into my playlist because there's just so much that I can recommend as far as just bands in general that
Shout outs to
I,
Joey again from Varsity. Love that dude. I know he'll watch
yes,
this probably. So
he will. Um, just he's an amazing guy and overall just a down dude.
yeah,
Um,
I went to go see them out in, I think it was Lansdale, and we did an interview together, and we were both freezing. Like it was probably 20 degrees out or something like that, and we were dying by like the time it was over with. I like couldn't feel my hands. It was just so cold. So shout outs to Joey for suffering suffering through with me.
um, Architects.
Yes, yes.
I cannot wait for the new album. Super good. I know I've listened to the last few singles that they have come out with, and I'm floored. I'm I can't wait.
So you haven't heard the whole thing yet though, right?
Oh,
No, we're gonna have to talk. We'll have to talk about it after. I'll, I'll let you.
definitely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I plan on doing a review on that sometime in the near future because
Yes.
it's coming up fairly soon.
I think it's
Um,
a week from today. I'm pretty sure because I know I have to get mine ready, so that's how I know.
I know, because
Uh,
I feel like our reviews are always like one after the other, or like yours is either before mine or mine is always before yours.
yeah.
So, um, Patient 67 is another band that I have been listening to.
Nice. Yeah.
Their their recent EP that they have redone, um, phenomenal. I know Tom Keeley is a super good friend of mine. I know I also have done a number of interviews with him as well. Super good guy. Enjoy talking to him about a number of things with his own music. But again, album is just fantastic. Um, Saving Vice, another band that I have been listening to. So if you haven't listened to their album that actually came out back in 2019, um, definitely highly suggest that you check them out. Um, Definitely worth listening to if you have the time. Uh, Trying to think of other ones that I have been listening to because again,
I know.
I go through so many different phases with all of my music.
I
So
knew this was gonna be a tough one for you because much like when people ask me this question,
I know.
I'm like, yeah, how long do you have? Because there's a
How
lot.
like do,
What time?
how long do you have?
Yeah,
Because
how
like
long?
my playlist is like 5 hours long, dude.
Oh,
Because I like I can't give you an exact like I can't give you like a top 10 because I would have to give you like maybe a top 20.
there we go.
But
Well, give me one last one, and then obviously as we're talking in post, I will have the playlist scrolling so everybody can check it out.
um and I guess if I could give you possibly another one, hmm, this is all so hard. Um I would have to say, let's go into my playlist.
Really digging deep for this one, I feel.
I know, because the last one is always the hardest, I feel. Um, um, I always listen to a lot of August Burns Red, I feel.
Ooh.
Either that or Newfound Glory. I feel like those are always my go-tos when I need or want something. And Baby Metal.
There you go. Yeah.
So those are three other good ones that I feel like everybody can always listen to those, but those are ones that I always go to if I really want to listen to something good and like that gets me like severely pumped in the day.
I feel that.
Um, but yeah, those other ones, highly suggest that you check all of those out because not only are they like really hardworking bands, but I feel like all of them bring something new and kind of like different to the table.
Hmm.
And they're all like different genres as well. So definitely something for everybody there.
I would agree. I mean, I have a little bit of bias towards Varsity since I've had Joey on here, but
Oh, for sure.
but
Like
but check
Joey
everybody else
is
out.
Joey is a great guy all around. Just severely talented as well. On so many levels. I feel like you never know what's gonna come out of him, like musically as an artist.
Yeah.
Um, oh yeah, I forgot one. Dropout Kings.
Oh,
How
there
could
you
I
go.
forget
How could you
them?
forget? You
How
have
could
to
I
leave them
forget?
there.
I could not leave them out. Um, definitely check out their latest single, and if you haven't checked out their earlier EP, I would highly suggest that you check that out as well. Um, so again, I think I hit across a number of genres
Yes.
um, in a matter of like 10 minutes.
Ish.
So,
Yes.
yeah, 10 minutes ish. Um, so, again, tried to hit something for everybody. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. You know that I love you all.
I've listen. I feel that sentiment.
Whoever's gonna watch this, you
Oh,
know I love you all because
listen. There's no hate, guys. Listen, it's tough to narrow it down. I feel that so much, but
I know a lot of people. So I know that they're probably gonna watch this and be like, "You forgot me."
I
And
know
I'm like,
that.
"I'm sorry."
I get that too. So I feel a little bit of remorse,
So,
but at the same point, I'm like, you can't name everybody. It's just so hard.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like I've been saying this for a long time. I feel like Varsity could be the next like issues like big like I mean they're big anyway now, but I think they
Hmm.
could aspire to that level for sure. To just I don't know. I mean, obviously I could talk as much as I'm sure his manager Chris and Joey would be very enamored if I continue to talk about his music, which I will for a little bit. It's great. Go check out Cloud City. I still have to get around to reviewing that. I don't know why haven't done it
And
yet.
definitely, I will suggest one other band of
There we go.
Virtues.
Yes,
Um, I would highly suggest checking them out because they are fantastic. Um, highly underrated and they don't get talked about enough, to
I
be
agree.
honest. So, I know they are not only super close friends of mine, to be honest, but the talent that they have on their latest record just there's no words. And the latest redone version of their album that had recently come out with the redone tracks, it's just a whole nother level of what they're going to bring to the table. Hopefully, um, if they do come out with new material, it just brings a whole nother level of just musicality to the genre as a whole. So again, and I will formally end it right there.
We can go
So
on. We can go on
we
forever.
really could go on forever, but again, if I did forget anybody, just know that I love all of you guys and everything that you guys contribute to the scene. Of course, I say in multiple posts all the time that I love you guys and I would not be here without any of you. Um, Doing what I do, I would not have a career in any of this had it not be for any of you guys. So just I can't stress that enough. So no favoritism involved here. Um, I love all of you guys. So
There we go. Next question, Sam. Obviously, you're a music journalist, if that wasn't clearly evident in this interview. But what would be one band that you'd want to interview, like a dream artist that,
oof.
like, if there was no barriers to entry, who would you just be like, man, this is who I want to interview, and internet, let's make it happen, guys. All I'm saying, listen, we can make this work. So let's do it.
Newfound Glory.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm not surprised by that choice, but I'm surprised that it hasn't happened yet.
Newfound Glory or Zebrahead.
Oh, okay.
Well, I will say that because um, ever since I was a tiny Sam, um, not that there's much tininess to speak of right now, but like I ever since I was like very small, I've been severely into those bands for a long time now, and I think I got my first taste of Allie actually speaking to me in one of my Instagram posts and on Twitter. And I literally, like, I woke up one morning because I did a news piece on Allie's other project that he did outside of Zebrahead. And I was completely like, I was like, oh my God. I was like, he actually spoke to me. Like, I know he does this like for all of like the publications and stuff, but
Sure.
like it's me we're talking about here. I'm not like anybody. I'm not like alternative press. I'm not like, Rock Sound or any of those like huge publications. The fact that he took the time out to actually say something to me out of all people, I was completely like just flabbergasted. So if I could actually get a formal interview with Zebrahead or Newfound Glory, that would like completely make my day. Because those are two bands that actively shaped um, my love for music in general, um, and why I still continue to do like what I do for the industry as a whole. So that would just like totally make my day if I could have either of those bands, for sure.
There we go. Newfound Glory. Listen, I don't know what you're doing, but let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Please,
That would be awesome.
please.
Internet work its magic right now. But the next question, Sam, another band question, because I feel like you would give me a good answer for this. If you were to compile a dream tour lineup, who would be on your tour?
Oof. Um, wow. Who would be on my tour lineup? That's hard. Definitely hitting me with the hard questions here. It would definitely have to be If I could have, see, it's so hard to choose. Like,
I can I can feel the pain going through your head right now.
my brain is like exploding with like so many different
Oh man.
combinations of like who I would want in my dream tour lineup.
It can be as wild as possible. It doesn't even have to. It only has to make sense to you. You know, you're not pandering to anybody. This is the Sam tour.
This is the Sam tour.
This is the Sam tour. That's what you gotta do.
Um, I would want, well, first of all, I would want, let's just make Varsity headline a tour.
Wow. Okay. This
Let's
is
just make let's just make Varsity headline a tour
okay. So you have them at number one.
because I feel like one, like I just can't stress enough like how good these guys are. And I know that like R&B core is just such, it's in its infancy right now. So
I
like a
feel
lot
yeah.
of like bands are not getting that much attention in that genre right now.
I
But
feel yeah.
like I feel like they deserve it. Like, you
Okay.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
Um, but then if we could actually have bands like kind of catered around that, like
Being very thoughtful with your choices. I mean, I'm surprised you aren't just going rogue on all of these. That's what I do.
um hmm can we just like have all of like my favorites just in one tour? Like I don't know. Like
The Sam Festival, is that where we're we're getting
I
at?
think that's what I think
Okay.
that's what we would do. Like I think if I could if I could have and meet like all of the bands that like I've worked with in like one tour, I think I would be very happy. Like that would totally like make my day
it
if
could
I
be a
could have,
it could be a collaborative effort here. We both live in New Jersey, so we can
yeah. I
our
think
powers combined.
I think if I could have all the bands that I've worked with in one tour, that would be like uh my complete dream tour
That's a lot.
because that is a lot. But that's only because like it it would just be awesome to just meet all the people that I've worked with. Especially during the pandemic. Um I've worked with so many amazing people and I'm just eternally grateful for that. And a lot of like the bands that I've worked with have said like, you know, if we ever go on tour, like we definitely like would want to meet you like in person. And I would definitely like want to meet them. And that definitely goes without saying because I feel like it's a thing of you help me and I help you
Yeah.
kind of thing. And if there was any way to really make that happen, and again, I know like this is just like again some fake fantasy thing that I'm talking about,
It
that
could be
would
reality.
definitely that would definitely like make my day to actually have that happen where I could meet all of the bands that I have worked with. Um, that would be amazing. So,
I feel that.
yeah.
I like that Sam is the first person to evade that question with such grace. Uh, I'm a little slightly upset, but I also understand the precedent of setting that you don't want to make other people upset because I'm the same way. So I'll politely respect your answer. I don't
Thank
like
you.
it, I don't like it, but I'm gonna let it rock because we're friends, and I'm not gonna try to put everything into a bubble. But next time you come on, you're gonna have to give me specifics, though.
Okay, I know, I know. Next time I will have an actual answer. I will
Woo!
have an actual answer.
There we go.
Yeah,
Awesome.
come on.
Next question, Sam. I guess it kind of tails back to like the first part about doing this, and like um obviously having you on and doing the music journalism thing, and I appreciate you coming on anyway, but um how does it feel like being a like female in the industry? It's something of a point of pride, obviously, to have you on, just since we've been friends and I respect your work, and obviously want people to know the person behind the mask of doing all of this sort of stuff for multiple websites and publications and stuff. But how does it feel to be like a woman in this industry and like doing stuff? Because obviously it's a good thing to have people like you in the industry to do that. But do you feel like, in a sense, because I know we talked about like being a minority stuff a little bit, like how much of a point of pride is it for you to have like female artists on and trying to promote them, and like obviously highlighting that talent as well? Because not to like compare or anything, but I do like to have female artists on too, because it's just like people are just as talented no matter where you whatever your background is.
Right.
What how does it, obviously, question number one being like, how is it in the scene, being a female and like doing all this like um publication work, and then obviously just like highlighting female talent? It's do you feel like it's an important issue for you to do that as well? Because there's definitely been some artists that I've seen on either a couple different one of your lists, or like reviews and stuff, to like have female artists in your plethora of musical publications.
No, especially since I primarily work with Scene Daddy, I think it's very important to have female representation.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with me working as a female and being in you know, at a point of leadership where I'm at now, um, it's kind of surreal in a sense because, you know, I work just as hard, if not twice as hard, to get to where I'm at right now. And
Yeah.
that's not to say, somebody else can't do the same work that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as a minority and as a woman, you definitely do have to work twice as hard and you have to stand out just as much and show, you know, you have something that stands out,
Yeah.
you know. And for me, I have always done that. I have always tried to show in some aspect that I have something to offer that nobody else does. And whether it's the amount of professionalism that I have to offer, and you always kind of, I know like we're always joking, but the amount of grace that I have in my personality or the way I treat others, I don't think it's hard to just be a nice person.
Yeah.
A
I
lot of
feel that.
people think that it's just hard to just do that when it's not. It's a very simple thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly frustrating at times to find that in your line of work that people are not just nice. It's
Yeah.
just that all you have to do is be a nice person and you get the results that you want.
Yeah.
And I think on top of just, you know, being a nice person and, you know, just being professional and, just being unique in what I do, I've gotten to where I have gotten. And again, I have always stressed this in everything that I've done. I haven't gotten any handouts with anything that
Mm-hmm.
I've done. Everything that I've done has always been within hard work and the opportunities that I've gotten from that. And, you know, in being a woman, I think that's so much more powerful on so many levels. Um, and the fact that, you know, women artists and even male artists will choose to work with me over, some other publications that are like bigger
Mm-hmm.
than myself. I think that's empowering in itself because they could choose to work with those other publications, but they
Yeah.
choose to work with me. And I think that's stating something about my character and it's also stating something about my work. So I don't know. Again, at times I have to take a step back and I'm like, how am I even doing this? Because it's like, again, I even sometimes take a look at my Instagram because, was it last year? I was nobody. I had like 20 followers. I was like no one. And I was like, you look at it now and I have like 350 followers, which again, that's nothing, but compared to like 20 followers that I had before, that's something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's attesting to hard work. That's not something that just comes overnight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So, and again, followers doesn't dictate your success anyway. Um, I have a lot more bands and a lot more artists that I work with on a daily basis. So, it's just crazy that you bring that up because I had a conversation with another artist uh, about this before, and they were like, we would rather work with you because, you're honest with how you treat us and, just how you are in general. We would rather take that than, deal with somebody else that you don't know what you're going to get
Yeah.
or
Definitely.
whatever. So again, it just all comes down to how you treat others and just, your work ethic, I feel. And as long as I feel like I continue to do that, I I feel like I don't really have any other complaints with how like my work is going. And I feel like as long as I continue to bring diverse artists, whether it's women, um, again, trying to bring a diverse range of artists as far as, not just white artists, but, black artists, um, Hispanic artists, Asian artists, what have you. That's also very important to me as a minority
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like that doesn't matter in the spectrum of how hard you work as an artist, as long as I feel like your music is good. And I think other people are going to see that. I want to expose you like as an artist as well. So that very much matters to me on a personal level.
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of the sentiments as well. Like, I have people have reached out to me because they're like, we've seen your content on YouTube and like we appreciate it and like, we respect it and you seem like you have good fun with like all of the people that you have on and it seems personable and um every time I think you brought up kind of a memory, I remember I went to a show probably a couple years ago or whatever, and I remember somebody coming up to me and they're like, oh, you're the guy that does like these album review stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I was like, I actually just posted one of the band that we're seeing tonight, and he's like, oh man, so that's awesome. He's like, I really liked your review. He's like, honestly, I thought you were just gonna be a dick, and I was like, what
Oh
do you
my
mean? You thought I was gonna
God.
be? I was like, why? I was like, why would you think that? It's just like, oh, well, you're on YouTube, and like, you could just be like super nice, like on camera, but you could be probably like an asshole outside of that. And I was like, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. But I was like,
That's sometimes the stigma with like a lot of like YouTube
yeah.
personalities.
but I just thought he was like completely missed the mark on when
Hmm.
it came to me, because I was like, I was like, I just do it because I like doing it. I'm not gonna, I'm not beating around the bush at all. And he was like, oh well, he was like, it was really cool talking to you and all that sort of stuff. Like, I'll keep watching your content and stuff. And I was like, thanks, man. So it just like, I think it goes to show like, and I've had other people like in bands be like, yeah, we got recommended to you because like we found out like other people went and did like interviews and they're like, we had a great time and all that sort of stuff. So I think like you said, having that sort of like positive like enforcement of from other people is just like, I think that adds way more like clout to what you do, as
Right.
opposed to like, oh my god, like you work for this magazine and you're gonna give me so many like views and stuff like that. That's what I always think about, and I know we kind of circle back to it a little bit earlier, but it's just true. Like, people come back because they want to work with the person that's doing the stuff because they believe in what you do, and they obviously want you to succeed because they know you're gonna put their best, you're gonna have their ideology in mind when doing a
Right.
review or an interview or whatever.
I think just overall being like a real person and seeing them as a real person is what ultimately is going to make people want to come back and not just being like topical and superficial
Yeah.
in a lot of cases. Um, and a lot of times for me, I always try to form, I know you can't do this with like everybody, but I always try to form like a relationship first with a lot of the people that I work
Mm-hmm.
with. And a lot of times that helps because I think that also forms the best pieces as well. When you find out like all you get to know like about a person, and I know for me when I write like these interview pieces or these reviews,
Mm-hmm.
um, when you kind of dive more into like more than just the music aspect of stuff, um, for me that makes like the best pieces because I dive into more of like a more of a personal level. And I think a lot of people can like identify with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like topical in the sense of like I'm just talking about the music. I'm talking about like the artists themselves. And I think a lot of times like the artists do appreciate that because they're not just, robots that
Yeah.
are like, churning out the
Yeah.
music for us, so to speak. And I have never looked at an artist like that. I've always seen them as like people first.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's a quality that a lot of journalists need to have when kind of like doing pieces or just like talking to them in general when it comes to like having stuff like what you do or like what I do.
Yeah, you wanna be, and I think it's kind of similar to like when I have interviews and I like talk to people afterwards. Like some people are just like, oh, I gotta like, I mean, like if they gotta leave, that's their thing. Like I understand that, but like I try to have conversations afterwards, just like obviously tell them like, hey, this is when it's gonna go out, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff, like the whole business aspect of it. But like I genuinely try to have conversations and make it seem like it's not just me like being like, oh, thanks for doing that for me. See you later. I gotta bounce. Like I think
Exactly.
I think it's I think that's what I've learned a lot. Not that I feel like I lacked it before, but just like you said, just being personable and understanding that like if anything, it's just like any other relationship where you have to like put time into it and you have to like be friends. I wind up becoming friends with a lot of people that I do these interviews with, and I think that's what I hope that people that watch this will find out, is that like you want to have that connection with other people. And I think it just seems like like bands will open up more if they know that like you're being personable and you're sharing your thoughts and stuff with them, and vice versa. And it just makes that good ebb and flow of a conversation. So and that's obviously like another reason why, on the multitude of reasons why I like reading your pieces and stuff on like more so interviews. But like it's always really good to see the like personal aspect you take to like really diving into questions and stuff. So yeah. But anyway, Sam, the last thing, because we could probably talk forever about
Right.
music. Tell the people what you have going on coming up, where they can find you at on the social media, and anything else you would like to plug.
Um, as far as what I have going on, I feel like I always have stuff going on. Um, um, for real though. I You guys can always check out like my features and stuff on scenedaddy.com. I always have artist features on there. Um, I recently started a new blog series called Visions of an Artist, where I feature different artists, and I kind of like find out what makes their brain tick, like musically, like what they listen to
Mm,
on a daily basis. I know a lot of listeners kind of get a kick out of that, just to kind of see like what their favorite artists like to listen to like on a daily basis. So I kind of like started that because like I personally like wanted to know
yeah,
like what my favorite
music
artists like to
nerds. Yeah,
listen to.
I get
Like,
that.
yeah. So basically I I got the idea from making my own playlist, and I was like, I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner. Like I want to know like what you're listening to, like not just like what I'm listening to. I want to know what you're listening to. But yeah, I think it's a fun idea, and a lot of artists and stuff seem to enjoy it. So I've been doing that one. Um, you can find all of my stuff that I've been doing recently on Scene Daddy. Um, and again, I still do periodic reviews and stuff on Spill Magazine. So if you want to check out my stuff on there, feel free to do so. I do have a playlist called it's such a corny name, but I don't care I don't care. I do have a playlist on Spotify called Sammy Star's World where you can check out
Yeah, that's the stuff.
where you can check out what I'm listening to on a daily basis if you do you care about that stuff. Um, and you can follow me on Instagram. Sammy is a star with 2 R's. And on Twitter, same thing, for all of my content and stuff. So that's pretty much it.
There we go. Well, as you already know, Sam is a big proponent of the channel, so I always feel very privileged to have her on, and I'm glad it took eons to get her onto the channel, but it finally happened. Go check out Sam's work. I'll also leave a link to the playlist in the description so you can go check it out. Honestly, I feel like I've been her hype man for the past hour and a half, but she really does some really killer work. Some might say inspired. I get inspired by her for sure. So,
Oh, thank you.
definitely go check out her stuff. Quality, 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 quality writing, and go follow her on social media. Leave all links for that below. Make sure to go tweet at Newfound Glory so we can get this interview happening. Listen, I'm a man of the people here for audio addiction, so let's make it happen. And if you enjoy this content, or you are a part of the music journalism multiverse, whatever you want to call it, feel free to DM me or email me. There is links in the description as well to hit me up on there. I would love to have you on so you can tell me your story. And if you enjoy the content, subscribe, hit that thumbs up, share it for the YouTube algorithm, because it is booty. It is so bad. So help me
It really
get out
is.
there.
Help
And
this man get up there.
thank you. I need to get them that sub count going. But thank you so much, Sam, for coming on, and we'll be
Of
talking soon, guys.
course.